Basically, this guy modified his cell phone case with propellers to take selfies, which is awesome. My only issue with it is that it's not only fake, but it's a scam, which I'll explain in a minute. I saw this video on Twitter with over 5 million views, and then again on YouTube with nearly 1 million views. The first clue is that these are 3-volt 7mm microbrush motors, like you see here. If you attach one to a beam like this and turn it on at full throttle, you'll see the most weight that it can lift is 6/4, or about 30 grams. The cell phone in the video with all the flying gear attached would weigh about 300 grams. You would need at least 15 of these motors to do what he did. But you know, this just doesn't look as catchy. In fact, we recreated the exact setup he used in the video and turned the motors to full throttle, and this is what happened. Here it is in slow-mo, and as you can see, there's hardly any difference than if you don't turn the propellers on at all. The second gratuitous violation of physics comes in this scene. In other words, it's physically impossible to hover in an orientation like this. The forward thrust component is unbalanced, and it would have to move the phone forward. The third major issue is the Arduino compatible circuit board he chose. It's the same board here, and it's supposed to be the brains for the drone, yet this specific model of board doesn't come with any sort of gyroscope or accelerometer. The fact that his board is missing a gyroscope and an accelerometer means there's no way for it to tell if it's starting to rotate or to fall in any direction, which is the perfect lead-in to the fourth major physics flaw. Notice how he attaches these motors and rigidly fixes them to the phone with double stick tape. This means if you start to tip forward, you have no way to self-correct the phone orientation, and it would just turn into a nosedive. If you only have 2 propellers in this configuration, they both need to be able to rotate with respect to the phone in order to correct for movements in all 6 degrees of freedom. And my final physics issue with this video is one of acoustics. This guy proposes using it as a hands-free way to watch your favorite super hip music videos, conveniently dubbing over the audio here. For reference, this is what an episode of The Office would sound like on a phone at full volume. And don't forget, you would actually need 13 more motors than this, so it would be at least 6 times louder. So now that we've thoroughly established a multitude of physical laws have been broken, let's find out exactly how he faked it. And to do that, Captain Disillusion.
Oh, hi, Mark. Mark Rober, you weren't supposed to call yet.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm actually even 5 minutes late.
Really? Well then, how can I help you?
Did you not even watch the video I sent?
Yes, of course, the mobile drone video. I've analyzed it thoroughly, Mark, and my conclusion is it's totally real.
Seriously?
Yes. Everything except for the mobile drone part. That's fake. If you look very closely, you might just be able to make out the huge chattering mask on the side of the phone, visible in every shot of it flying. The creator must have been in a real hurry because it's so messy. Here it cuts off the edge of the phone, here the tip of his finger, and here it reveals the thing it's supposed to be hiding. A rod. It's narrow and light colored, and probably attached with the same mounting tape he used to tack on all the other gadgets. That's why he's able to grab and adjust the phone in this shot. By the river, the mask hides not just the stick, but the whole person holding it. Look closer. On this side, the real-time water, and on this side, a still frame from an empty version of the shot. And if we track the phone's position and rotation, we can easily reverse engineer exactly how the stick puppeteered it, rotating mostly from the point where it was held.
Wow. That was very impressive, Captain D. Thank you for taking the time.
My favorite part of this whole thing is the audio. The tiny propellers must have made so little noise at a distance, it didn't give a proper drone vibe. So the hoaxers recorded the sound of the motors up close and reused the same clip in every scene, complete with their muttering voices in the background.
Awesome. So it's fake. And now you know exactly all the reasons why. But it's still a really interesting idea, and I was curious what it would look like if you actually built one of these using less special effects and more practical engineering. So naturally I called on my buddy Peter Schriepel, whose qualifications include building his own electric plane from scratch, and he immediately got to work. Turns out if you take 2 brushless motors, 2 electronic motor speed controllers, a flight controller that actually has a gyroscope and an accelerometer integrated, a 3D printed frame and 2 servos to articulate the rotors, a radio transmitter for remote control, and a 4-cell LiPo battery, and then you put them all together, it actually works. Kind of. We had to do a bunch of test flights to calibrate that feedback control loop we talked about before. So if we notice the drone is either undercompensating or overcompensating when it starts to fall in a certain way, we tweak the response sensitivity in between flights until we get to the sweet spot. And so once we felt like we had it in pretty good shape, we took her out for the maiden test flight.